The customer is always right might be the most dangerous lie ever invented. Because sometimes the customer isn't just wrong, they're impressively wrong. So wrong that the complaint stops being about service and turns into something you can't look away from. What you're about to hear isn't a list of small misunderstandings. It's 45 real complaints from people who followed the instructions wrong, ignored every warning, and then sat down to write a very serious message about why this should not be their fault. At some point, the product didn't fail, the service didn't fail, only the thinking did, and it still hit send. Fact 1. It worked exactly as designed, which was apparently the problem. At a small electronics store, a customer submitted a formal complaint about a device that stopped working after being unplugged. The complaint was detailed, polite, and confident. According to the customer, the product failed because it did not continue operating once removed from its power source. They expressed disappointment that such a basic expectation was not met. Staff explained that the device required electricity to function. The explanation did not help. The complaint insisted that modern technology should have evolved past this limitation. The customer requested either a refund or a redesigned version that could operate without power. Nothing in the product description was incorrect. Nothing was broken. The issue wasn't malfunction, it was expectation. The product didn't fail the customer. The customer failed to accept how electricity works and then documented it. Fact 2. They followed the instructions wrong, then filed a complaint about it. A customer contacted support after assembling a piece of furniture that immediately collapsed. The complaint blamed poor design, cheap materials, and misleading instructions. Photos were included. Every single step had been followed, just not in the correct order. Screws meant for the final stage were used first. Support pointed this out carefully. The customer disagreed. They believed instructions were suggestions, not requirements. According to them, the product should still function regardless of sequence. The complaint escalated, arguing that a well-designed item should adapt to user creativity. No refund was issued. Nothing was defective. The instructions worked perfectly for anyone who read them in order. The furniture didn't collapse on its own. It collapsed after being confidently assembled incorrectly. Fact 3. They ignored the warning, then complained about the result. At a recreational equipment rental, a customer filed a complaint after experiencing discomfort from ignoring a clearly posted warning. The sign explained the risk plainly. The customer acknowledged seeing it, but chose to proceed anyway. The complaint stated that the warning should have been more persuasive. They argued that if something is truly dangerous, it should feel safer. Staff responded that warnings are informational, not emotional. The customer disagreed and requested compensation for choosing to ignore advice. No malfunction occurred. No rule was broken. The outcome matched the warning exactly. The complaint wasn't about safety. It was about regret. The customer didn't want the warning improved. They wanted the consequence removed after the fact. Fact 4. They bought the picture, not the product. A customer submitted a complaint after receiving an item that looked exactly like the description, but not like the promotional photo they imagined. The product description listed dimensions clearly. The image showed the item styled professionally. The customer assumed the background objects were included. When informed otherwise, they argued the image was misleading because it suggested completeness. Support clarified that images are illustrative. The customer insisted that suggestion should count as promise. The complaint escalated to management, requesting the additional items or a refund. The product itself was accurate. The misunderstanding came from believing a photograph was a contract. Nothing was missing. Expectations simply extended beyond reality and then asked for compensation. Fact 5. They wanted a refund for something doing what it always does. A customer complained that a food product tasted exactly like its ingredients. The complaint stated that the flavor was too much like what it's made of, which they found disappointing. They requested a refund for unmet expectations. The ingredient list matched the taste perfectly. Staff responded politely. The customer doubled down, arguing that familiarity should not be so noticeable. There was no defect, no contamination, no error. The complaint wasn't about quality, it was about the shock of accuracy. The product delivered exactly what it promised. The issue was discovering that expectations had no basis beyond hope, and then documenting the disappointment when reality didn't adjust itself. Fact 6. They wanted a refund because time passed. A customer contacted support to complain that a perishable product had expired. The complaint was calm and detailed. According to the customer, the product was fine when purchased, but became unusable weeks later. They argued this showed poor quality control. Support reviewed the case and pointed out the clearly printed expiration date. The customer acknowledged seeing it, but believed it was more of a guideline. In their view, a well-made product should last as long as they personally needed it. The complaint requested compensation for the inconvenience of time continuing forward. Nothing was spoiled early. Nothing was mislabeled. The product behaved exactly as time allows. The issue wasn't quality. It was the expectation that purchasing something should pause the calendar. Fact 7. They complained that the room was too quiet. A hotel received a formal complaint from a guest unhappy with the level of silence in their room. The guest explained that the room was advertised as quiet, but they did not expect it to be this quiet. They described the silence as unsettling and blamed the hotel for discomfort. Staff noted that the room was located away from elevators and street noise, exactly as requested during booking. The guest argued that quiet should still include some ambiance. They requested either a partial refund or a noise source. Nothing was broken. No promise was violated. The hotel delivered precisely what was asked for. The complaint wasn't about service. It was about discovering that preferences sound different when fulfilled completely. Fact 8. They returned it because gravity still worked. A customer submitted a complaint after dropping a newly purchased item and watching it fall. The complaint stated that the product did not resist impact and therefore felt poorly designed. The customer explained that they expected modern materials to account for accidental drops. Support clarified that gravity affects all objects equally. The explanation was not accepted. The customer argued that if something is commonly dropped, it should be engineered to float. The request was for a refund or redesign. No defect was found. No manufacturing error occurred. The item behaved exactly as objects have always behaved. The complaint was not about durability. It was about disappointment that physics remained unchanged after purchase. Fact 9. They didn't like the result of their own choice. A customer complained that a customizable product turned out exactly as selected. The complaint stated that the final result was unsatisfactory and therefore misleading. Support reviewed the order and confirmed every option was chosen by the customer. Colors, sizes, and features matched the request perfectly. The customer argued that the system should have known better and prevented the choice. According to them, a good service should intervene when customers make mistakes. The complaint requested a remake at no cost. Nothing malfunctioned, no error occurred, the product was accurate. The dissatisfaction came from seeing a decision reflected back without correction and then blaming the mirror. Fact 10. They complained that the free thing wasn't better. A customer filed a complaint about a complimentary item included with a purchase. The complaint described the free item as disappointing and below expectations. The customer felt that receiving something at no cost should not lower standards. Support clarified that the item was optional and provided as a courtesy. The customer insisted that courtesy still required excellence. They requested an upgrade or replacement. Nothing was promised beyond free. Nothing was defective. The complaint wasn't about value. It was about entitlement expanding faster than the transaction itself. The product didn't fail. The concept of free did not meet the imagination attached to it. Fact 11. They complained that the instructions were too clear. A customer contacted support to complain that the instructions were overly detailed. According to the message, the step-by-step guide felt insulting and unnecessary. The customer argued that excessive clarity suggested the company assumed incompetence. They requested a simplified version with fewer explanations. Support reviewed the instructions and confirmed they existed to prevent misuse. The customer disagreed, stating that confidence should be assumed. Ironically, the same complaint admitted skipping several steps because they felt obvious. The resulting issue was listed as proof the instructions were flawed. Nothing in the guide was incorrect. The complaint wasn't about clarity, it was about pride encountering a process that refused to flatter it. Fact 12. They demanded a refund because the product was smaller than they imagined. A customer filed a complaint after receiving an item that matched the listed dimensions exactly. The issue, according to the message, was that the size felt emotionally misleading. Measurements were provided in both metric and imperial units, but the customer admitted they had not checked them. They believed the product would be larger based on how it looked in their mind. Support reiterated the specifications. The customer responded that numbers do not convey presence. The refund request was based entirely on disappointment, not error. The product was accurate. The expectation was fictional. The complaint documented the moment imagination lost an argument with math. Fact 13. They complained that the software didn't read their mind. A customer contacted technical support claiming the software was difficult to use because it required input. The complaint argued that modern systems should anticipate needs without being told. According to the customer, having to select options felt outdated and inconvenient. Support explained that user input is required to determine preferences. The explanation did not satisfy them. They insisted the software should just know what they wanted. No bug was reported. No feature was missing. The issue wasn't functionality. It was the belief that convenience meant clairvoyance. The complaint wasn't about technology failing. It was about expectations drifting into fantasy. Fact 14. They returned it because it looked used. After being used, a customer complained that a product showed signs of wear after regular use. The complaint described this as evidence of poor quality. Support reviewed the usage timeline and confirmed the wear matched normal operation. The customer argued that visible use should not occur so quickly, regardless of activity. They requested a replacement that would remain pristine indefinitely. Nothing was broken, no defect was present. The product worked exactly as intended. The complaint was about time leaving marks. The expectation was permanence in a world designed around use. The issue wasn't quality. It was the refusal to accept that using something changes it. Fact 15. They complained that the solution required effort. A customer submitted a complaint stating that resolving their issue required too many steps. Support had provided a clear fix that worked immediately when followed. The customer admitted the solution was effective, but felt it should have happened automatically. According to them, needing to do anything at all counted as poor service. They requested compensation for inconvenience. No malfunction occurred. The fix was valid. The complaint wasn't about difficulty. It was about effort existing at all. The expectation was frictionless resolution without participation. Reality responded by requiring involvement, and the customer documented their objection. Fact 16. They complained that the product required maintenance. A customer submitted a complaint after learning that a product required regular upkeep. The message expressed frustration that maintenance was not optional. According to the customer, a quality product should take care of itself. Support pointed out that the need for maintenance was clearly stated in the product description. The customer acknowledged this, but argued that mentioning it did not make it acceptable. They felt inconvenienced by the responsibility of ownership. The complaint requested a refund or a version that would never require attention. Nothing malfunctioned. No promises were broken. The issue was not design. It was the assumption that buying something transfers all responsibility away from the buyer. The product worked. The idea of effort did not. Fact 17. They complained that the service ended when it was supposed to. A customer filed a complaint after a service expired at the end of the agreed period. The message described the expiration as abrupt and unfair. According to the customer, the service had been useful and should therefore continue. Support reviewed the contract and confirmed the end date had been communicated clearly. The customer admitted knowing the date but felt that usefulness should override agreements. They requested an extension at no cost. No error occurred. No system failed. The service ended exactly as stated. The complaint wasn't about confusion. It was about believing satisfaction should rewrite terms after the fact. Fact 18. They complained that the product didn't match their mood. A customer contacted support to complain that a product felt wrong when used. The complaint explained that while the item functioned properly, it did not align with how the customer felt that day. They described the experience as disappointing and requested a return. Support asked for clarification on the issue. The response reiterated that the product worked but didn't feel right anymore. No defect was identified. No performance issue existed. The complaint wasn't about function, it was about emotional mismatch. The expectation was that the product should adjust itself to changing moods. Reality declined to participate. Fact 19. They complained that a rule applied to them. A customer submitted a formal complaint after being required to follow a standard policy. The message stated that while the rule might make sense for others, it should not apply in this case. The customer explained their situation in detail, emphasizing uniqueness. Support confirmed that the policy was universal. The customer responded that universality was the problem. They requested an exception based on personal circumstances. No misunderstanding occurred. The rule worked exactly as designed. The complaint was about encountering equality when expecting special treatment. The system did not bend. The customer documented their disappointment. Fact 20. They complained that reality didn't adjust fast enough. A customer complained that a change they requested was not implemented immediately. The message expressed frustration with the delay and described it as unacceptable. Support explained the process timeline and constraints involved. The customer acknowledged this, but insisted urgency should accelerate everything. According to them, wanting something badly should shorten waiting time. The complaint requested compensation for patience. Nothing was delayed beyond what was communicated. The issue was not speed. It was the belief that desire should compress time. The system remained unchanged. The customer recorded their objection to waiting. Fact 21. They complained that the price was the price. A customer submitted a complaint after discovering that the total cost matched exactly what was listed. The message expressed frustration that taxes and fees had been added, despite being clearly displayed before checkout. The customer admitted seeing the breakdown, but felt the final number was emotionally higher than expected. According to them, transparency did not make the result acceptable. Support reviewed the transaction and confirmed no extra charges were applied. Everything was calculated correctly. The complaint requested an adjustment to make the total feel fairer. Nothing was hidden, nothing was incorrect. The issue wasn't pricing. It was the moment expectation collided with arithmetic, and the customer documented their disappointment with math doing what math always does. Fact 22. They complained that the service didn't feel personal enough. A customer contacted support to complain that the service felt too automated. The message criticized the use of standard responses and consistent procedures. According to the customer, being treated the same as everyone else felt impersonal. Support explained that consistency ensured fairness. The customer disagreed, stating their situation deserved special handling. No error occurred. No request was ignored. The service worked exactly as designed. The complaint wasn't about neglect. It was about wanting individuality inside a system built for scale. The customer didn't want a solution, they wanted recognition, and they filed a complaint when efficiency refused to flatter them. Fact 23. They complained that the product changed when they changed. A customer submitted a complaint stating that a product no longer met their needs. The message explained that while the product worked fine before, their preferences had evolved. According to them, the product should have evolved too. Support reviewed the purchase and confirmed no updates or modifications were included. The customer acknowledged this, but argued that loyalty should guarantee adaptation. The complaint requested an upgrade at no cost. Nothing malfunctioned. No promise was broken. The issue wasn't performance. It was expecting an object to grow alongside a person and documenting disappointment when it stayed the same. Fact 24. They complained that convenience had limits. A customer contacted support after learning that a service could not accommodate an unusual request. The complaint described this as inflexible and outdated. According to the customer, convenience should mean limitless accommodation. Support explained the operational boundaries involved. The customer responded that boundaries were bad design. No error occurred. The service functioned exactly as advertised. The complaint wasn't about failure. It was about encountering the edge of convenience and treating it like a defect. The system held. The customer wrote anyway. Fact 25. They complained that the experience ended. A customer submitted a complaint after a temporary experience concluded. The message expressed disappointment that the event did not continue indefinitely. According to the customer, enjoyment should extend availability. Support confirmed the event had a fixed duration communicated in advance. The customer acknowledged this, but argued that ending something people enjoy was poor service. No misinformation occurred. No promises were violated. The complaint wasn't about clarity. It was about wanting permanence from something designed to end. Time did what time does. The customer filed an objection. Fact 26. They complained that the product didn't replace a human. A customer submitted a complaint stating that the product required them to make decisions. According to the message, this was unacceptable. The customer believed the product should fully replace human judgment and remove the need for thought. Support clarified that the product assisted decision-making, but could not substitute it. The customer disagreed, arguing the technology should eliminate responsibility. They requested either a refund or an update that would handle everything automatically. No malfunction was found. No misleading claims existed. The complaint wasn't about function. It was about wanting convenience to absolve participation. The product worked as intended. The expectation that thinking could be outsourced completely did not. Fact 27. They complained that the solution was too logical. A customer contacted support after receiving a solution that worked exactly as described. The complaint stated that the fix felt overly logical and lacked creativity. According to the customer, a good solution should feel intuitive, not procedural. Support confirmed the steps were necessary. The customer admitted the problem was resolved, but still felt dissatisfied. They requested a different solution that felt simpler, despite acknowledging this one worked. Nothing was broken. The issue wasn't effectiveness. It was discomfort with logic doing its job. The complaint documented frustration with a system that refused to be vague. Fact 28. They complained that the system didn't bend for their mood. A customer filed a complaint stating that the system felt cold during use. The message explained that on a stressful day, the service should have responded differently. Support clarified that responses were standardized. The customer argued that emotional awareness should override procedure. They requested compensation for the lack of empathy. No error occurred. No message was ignored. The system functioned consistently. The complaint wasn't about rudeness. It was about expecting software to sense emotional. Fact 29. They complained that a limitation existed at all. A customer submitted a complaint after discovering a limit on usage. The message expressed disbelief that any limit existed. According to the customer, limits contradicted the idea of modern service. Support explained the purpose of the restriction. The customer acknowledged understanding, but insisted understanding didn't make it acceptable. They requested the limit be removed just this once. No mistake occurred. The service behaved exactly as documented. Fact 30. They complained that nothing went wrong, but something felt off. A customer contacted support to complain without identifying a specific problem. The message stated that everything worked, but still felt unsatisfactory. Support requested clarification. The customer reiterated that there was no error, but they expected more. According to them, satisfaction should be guaranteed. No issue could be diagnosed. No fix was possible. The complaint wasn't about malfunction. It was about the gap between. Support reviewed the exchange and confirmed that the answer remained the same because the situation had not changed. The customer acknowledged this, but argued that persistence should influence outcomes. They requested escalation, hoping a different representative would provide a better answer. Nothing new was added, no information was missing. The system did not vary its response. Fact 32. They complained that the policy applied even after being explained. A customer filed a complaint after a policy was explained clearly and then enforced. Fact 33. They complained that the explanation was too final. A customer contacted support to complain about an explanation that left no room for discussion. The message described the response as closed-minded. According to the customer, a good explanation should feel open-ended. Support clarified that the explanation was final because the situation had a final answer. The customer acknowledged this but felt that certainty was unhelpful. They requested a more flexible explanation that felt less definitive. No additional information existed. No alternative outcome was possible. The complaint wasn't about tone, it was about discomfort with answers that do not invite debate. Reality declined to reopen the case. Fact 34. They complained that the process took exactly as long as stated. A customer submitted a complaint after a process took the full amount of time quoted. The message expressed frustration that it did not finish sooner. According to the customer, quoted timeline should represent worst-case scenarios, not actual duration. Support reviewed the timeline and confirmed it matched what was communicated. The customer admitted this, but argued that expectations should be exceeded by default. No delay occurred. No step was missed. The complaint wasn't about speed. It was about disappointment that time estimates were honest. The system delivered what it promised. The customer expected more than accuracy. Fact 35. They complained that the outcome was exactly what was predicted. A customer contacted support to complain about an outcome they had been warned about in advance. The message stated that knowing the result ahead of time did not make it acceptable. Support reviewed prior communications and confirmed the warning was clear. The customer acknowledged remembering it, but felt hope should have changed the outcome. They requested compensation for disappointment. No error occurred. The result matched the prediction precisely. The complaint wasn't about surprise, it was about wanting foresight to come with an escape clause. Reality did not offer one. The customer filed the objection anyway. Fact 36. They complained while admitting everything worked. A customer submitted a complaint stating that the service functioned correctly but still felt unsatisfactory. The message carefully explained that no errors occurred and no steps were missed. The customer emphasized that the process completed exactly as described. However, they still felt the experience warranted compensation. Support requested clarification on the issue. The response repeated that there was no issue, only disappointment. According to the customer, satisfaction should be guaranteed regardless of outcome. No malfunction was identified. No correction could be made. The complaint wasn't about fixing anything. It was about documenting dissatisfaction with success itself. The system delivered what it promised. The customer expected something more than accuracy and wrote to complain when precision didn't feel rewarding. Fact 37. They wanted a refund without returning the item. A customer contacted support requesting a refund while stating they intended to keep using the product. The complaint argued that returning the item would be inconvenient and unnecessary. According to the customer, dissatisfaction alone should qualify for reimbursement. Support explained that refunds required returns. The customer disagreed, stating that policy should adapt to comfort. They insisted that continued use did not invalidate the complaint. No defect was reported. No error occurred. The product functioned normally. The complaint wasn't about fairness, it was about wanting both outcomes at once. The system declined to rewrite the transaction. The customer documented the refusal. Fact 38. They complained that the service was too consistent. A customer filed a complaint stating that the service behaved the same way every time. The message described predictability as boring and uninspired. According to the customer, consistency reduced enjoyment. Support explained that consistency ensured reliability. The customer acknowledged this, but felt reliability should include variation. They requested a version that felt different each time. No error occurred, no feature was missing. The complaint wasn't about malfunction. It was about wanting novelty inside a system designed for stability. The service remained consistent. The customer objected to dependability being dependable. Fact 39. They complained that the answer didn't change after escalation. A customer escalated a complaint expecting a different outcome. After escalation, the answer remained the same. The customer expressed frustration, stating that escalation should automatically change results. Support explained that escalation reviews decisions but does not alter correct ones. The customer disagreed, arguing that effort alone should influence conclusions. No new information was provided. No policy was misapplied. The complaint wasn't about resolution. It was about the belief that persistence should eventually override correctness. The system reviewed itself and agreed with itself. The customer documented their surprise. Fact 40. They complained that fairness felt unfair. A customer submitted a complaint after receiving the same treatment as everyone else. The message stated that equal handling felt dismissive. According to the customer, fairness should account for individuality. Support confirmed that the policy applied uniformly. The customer argued that uniformity ignored personal context. No discrimination occurred. No error existed. The complaint wasn't about mistreatment. It was about encountering equality when expecting exception. The system did not bend. The customer recorded dissatisfaction with fairness doing exactly what it was designed to do. Fact 41. They filed a complaint against nature. A customer submitted a complaint after an outdoor activity was affected by weather. The message expressed frustration that conditions were unfavorable despite careful planning. According to the customer, choosing a date should have guaranteed suitable weather. Support explained that weather is not controllable. The customer acknowledged this but argued that unpredictability should be accounted for. They requested compensation for inconvenience caused by natural conditions. No service failed. No guarantee was made. The activity occurred as scheduled. The complaint wasn't about planning. It was about expecting nature to cooperate once money changed hands. The system declined to negotiate with the forecast. The customer documented their disagreement with how weather behaves. Fact 42. They complained that time moved forward. A customer contacted support to complain that a limited offer had expired. The message stated that the customer intended to act, but time passed before they did. According to them, the deadline felt unfair. Support reviewed the offer details and confirmed the expiration date was communicated clearly. The customer acknowledged seeing it, but felt that intention should pause expiration. They requested reinstatement based on interest alone. No error occurred. No miscommunication existed. The complaint wasn't about clarity. It was about discovering that wanting something does not stop time. The clock did what clocks do. The customer filed an objection. Fact 43. They complained that an experience couldn't be returned. A customer submitted a complaint requesting a refund for an experience they no longer enjoyed in hindsight. The message explained that while the experience occurred as promised, their feelings about it changed afterward. According to the customer, this warranted compensation. Support clarified that experiences are non-refundable once completed. The customer disagreed, stating that satisfaction should be reassessed retroactively. No fault was identified. No promise was broken. The complaint wasn't about delivery. It was about wanting outcomes reversed after reflection. Reality did not offer a return policy. The customer documented disappointment with permanence. Fact 44. They complained about something that has always been true. A customer filed a complaint about a condition that existed long before their purchase. The message described surprise and dissatisfaction with something that had never been hidden. Support confirmed the information was publicly available. The customer admitted they hadn't checked, but felt that discovery should not be their responsibility. They requested compensation for learning something late. No misinformation occurred. The complaint wasn't about deception. It was about encountering truth after ignoring it. Reality did not update itself. The customer recorded frustration with facts existing independently. Fact 45. They tried to return reality itself. A customer submitted a final complaint that did not reference a specific product or service. The message expressed general dissatisfaction with how things turned out. According to the customer, expectations were not met, despite no identifiable failure. Support reviewed the case and found no error to correct. No policy applied. No refund was possible. The complaint wasn't about fixing an issue. It was about wanting reality to behave differently after the fact. Nothing here was broken. Nothing here malfunctioned. Reality was simply asked to apologize. It did not respond. None of these complaints came from confusion. That's the uncomfortable part. Every message was written slowly, clearly, with confidence. People read the rules, ignored them, then complained when the rules still worked. They followed instructions wrong, waited too long, missed deadlines, used things exactly as warned, and then sat down to explain why this should somehow not count. Nothing here was broken. Nothing malfunctioned. Nothing failed inspection. The only thing that kept failing was the belief that effort, money, or confidence should come with special exemptions. These weren't customer service problems. They were expectation problems. And the most impressive part? Every single complaint was submitted with the absolute certainty that this time reality would blink first. Here's what makes these complaints funny and quietly terrifying. None of these people thought they were wrong, not for a second. They weren't angry typers. They weren't confused customers. They were calm, detailed, certain that rules should bend, that time should wait, that warnings should be optional, that reality should make exceptions once money was involved. And when none of that happened, they didn't reconsider. They complained. Because filing a complaint feels easier than admitting expectations were wrong. So this wasn't a failure of products, or services, or policies. It was the moment confidence met reality and decided reality needed a manager. The scary part isn't that these complaints exist. It's that every one of them was written by someone who genuinely thought, yes, this makes sense.